Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning to everyone. It is another episode of the KBR show. This is yours truly, King Buddy Ray, coming at you. We had a busy weekend in all of the sports world, a busy Monday in the hockey world. We've got a few things to catch up on. Hopefully, everyone had a good weekend and a good Monday. If you didn't have a good Monday, don't worry, it's over. Have a killer rest of the week. We're going to update on some things happening in the RCBL, the upcoming week of that. They didn't have any games on Sunday because it rained. We're going to recap game 2 of the NBA Finals. We are also going to touch base on the hockey and look towards the Men's College World Series and look at the two amazing finals at Roland Garros this past Saturday and Sunday. So we've got a lot to catch up on. Hope you guys are ready. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and subscribing. I appreciate it. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. So thank you guys for all the positive comments and vibes coming my way. So we're going to start with game 2 that happened on Sunday evening on ABC. The Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Indianapolis Pacers. Pacers took game 1. They led 1% of the game. Less than that. They led 3 seconds of that game. 0.3 seconds, actually, of the game. Halliburton hit the game winner. Mike Breen yelled bang. He normally only does that on threes, but very close game, game 1. Coming into game 2, question marks. Can the Thunder close the game out? That's the biggest thing. SGA is going to get his. Can Chet step up? Can Jay Will step up? Can the bench play better? Can they close the game out? That was the biggest thing. Can they close the game out? We'll see. Can Halliburton have a bigger game? Yeah, he had the big bucket, but he didn't have his 20 points. They're 7-1 when he scores 20. Can the Pacers limit the turnovers? They had 25 turnovers in game 1. Can they limit that? Can SGA drop another 30 piece? He's done it 8 times in a row now. Pacers, can they have another comeback if they're down? They've had 5 so far this season, or this postseason. 5 comebacks of 15 plus. First time since 1998 that has happened. But going into the game early, Thunder had a 61% chance to win the game, and the over-under was 11.5. But the Pacers are 7-2 on the road. So we'll see what happens. Kind of thing. But the Thunder showed up. SGA got his. Jay Will got his. Chet got his. But the bench, man. The bench was key for the Thunder in this game. The bench, before the benches cleared when the game was a blowout late, the bench scoring was 43-27 in favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was good. And that was mainly behind Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso. And Alex Caruso was a clamp on defense as always as well. Jay Will and Chet in game 1 were only 8 of 28. Can they come back? Yeah, they did. The Thunder this season are 16-2 after losses. They don't like losing 2 in a row. So you better get to them. So, and that is what happened. They did not lose again in game 2. They tied it up at 1 game apiece. The whole NBA pregame crew and even the in-game crew picked Oklahoma City to win. Pacers were plus 17 on the boards in game 1. Can the Thunder, who are bigger than they are, change that? They did. The Thunder were plus 8 in this game and very physical on the glass. In the first quarter, it was kind of back and forth. At the end of the first, there's 26-20 in favor of the Thunder. The Thunder weren't shooting that well. They were only 10 of 21 in the first quarter. It was actually tied at 17 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. It's kind of back and forth. But the second quarter is when it opened up. And at the half, it got even closer. It was 59-41 on favor of OKC, and that is due to a 10-0 run to end the half by the Pacers, mainly behind Pascal Siakam, who had 8 of those 10 there. But your halftime notes, SGA had 15 points, 6 and 11. Chet was showing up in the first half, 5 of 8 for 11. Jay Will had 9. Wiggins had 8 off the bench. OKC had more assists in the first half with 14 than they did in the whole entire game of Game 1. Game 1, they only had 12 assists, which is a season low for them, and a season low on passes of 207. They had 207 total passes. They weren't really moving the ball like they do, but they fixed it in Game 2. Halliburton, slow first half again. He had 1 of 5 with 3 points. He needs to get going. It doesn't exactly need to be get going on the scoring end. Yeah, they're good when he scores 20 points, but he has to move the ball, drive and kick. He has to be that point guard. He has to have that dog in him that makes it get done, because if he doesn't, I don't see the Pacers winning this series. They may win another game or two, but I don't see him winning the series if Tyrese Halliburton cannot be aggressive. He had 3 points, 3 boards, and 3 assists in the first half. Pascal Siakam had 9. 8 of those were in the last 2 minutes of the first half. So coming out in the third quarter, 2-point game. What happens here? The Thunder were shooting 51%, and the Pacers were shooting 35% at the half. But the Pacers are 6-2 when trailing at half. So if you're a Pacers fan, you're happy when you trail at half. But the lead got up to 20 in the second half. They came out with a thriller in the second half, in the beginning of the third quarter. Alex Caruso had 13 points off the bench in 13 minutes in the first 3 quarters. Turner had a big quarter. He had 10 points in the third quarter, but that's about it. SGA had 14 points in the third quarter, very aggressive. The biggest difference in the third quarter was the Oklahoma City Thunder pressure defense. Full court, pressing 90 feet, and really didn't really cause that many turnovers. They only caused 6 in the third quarter, but they were aggressive and made the Pacers work for every shot and every bucket that they got. They were just couldn't move the ball. They were sloppy, getting stupid shots, not really turning the ball over too much, but the Thunder were pressuring them and making it hard for them to score, and they extended the lead up to 20 at the end of the third quarter. And the turnovers were in favor of the Pacers, 13-9 after 3 quarters. Burt, after the third quarter, only had 5 points, so only had 2 points in the third quarter and only another assist. He got more aggressive. He had 11 points in the fourth quarter, but it was too little too late. It was no minutes. Like, it was the no minutes that no one cares about, and the Thunder kind of let up there. And it was Oklahoma City was attacking early in the fourth again. They got in the penalty in the bonus and went to the free-throw line on every foul after the 8-minute mark. So it was interesting. The bench is cleared with about 5 minutes left in the game. The Thunder ended up winning the game. What was the final score? I did not write that down like a doofus. The final score of the game was 107-123 in favor of the Thunder. So if you're looking at the end of the game, Halliburton, you got to score 20 for your team to have a chance. And if you don't score much more than that, you got to be aggressive. You got to be able to move the ball. You got to get assists. You got to get your guys. And if you're noticing, like, Obi Toppin was 1 of 7. Pascal Siakam was what? What was Pascal? Pascal was 3 of 11. If you notice that, you've got to score. If they're hitting like they were in game 1, just be an assist man. But if they're not hitting, you have got to attack and you have got to score. It is crazy. Mr. Halliburton, everyone looks at him as, oh, he's so clutch. He's so clutch. He has 55 games this season with less than 20 points. It's not heard of for guys that are clutch, guys that are top tier of the line. That's why some people call him Mr. Inconsistent like I do. He's inconsistent. When he's there, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he's inconsistent, as we can see so far in this finals. Yeah, he had the game-winning shot, but he didn't really play that well in game 1 either. So it was very interesting there. Chet and J. Will were huge. The bench was huge for the Thunder in game 2. Pascal had 15. He had 8 of those in the last 2 minutes of the second quarter. Halliburton ended with 17, but only 5 of those were in the first 3 quarters. So he got aggressive, but he's got to start aggressive and stay aggressive the whole game. Pacers only had 15 turnovers, so they cut down the turnovers, but their shooting was 45%, 35% from deep. SGA had his. He had a big night, 34 points, 8 assists, 5 boards, and the biggest thing is 4 steals. SGA had 4 steals. high for him in the playoffs. Holmgren, Mr. Skinny Man, had 15 points. J. Will had 19. The bench, man, Aaron Wiggins had 18, and Alex Caruso had 20. So between those two, they had 38 of the 43 bench points before the bench is cleared. I didn't get a final stat line from that. But my whole thoughts for Game 3, Burton, you got to be aggressive. Whether it's point scoring or assists, you got to be aggressive. Pascal has got to get going. The bench has to help out. TJ McConnell, Opie Toppin, Benedict Matherin, Mr. Arizona Wildcat, has to get going. Those three have to get going and produce something off the bench to compete with Alex Caruso and Aaron Wiggins off the bench for the Thunder. Both benches are good. Both benches have been good all playoffs, but they've got to get going to be able for the Pacers to make this a series. If not, Thunder could possibly win 4 straight and end this 4-1 and 5. Game 2 was not pretty if you were an Indianapolis Pacers fan. It was not pretty. For the Thunder, your big three got to continue. Your defense has got to keep going like it has been all postseason, except those couple games when the Timberwolves won those games and he allowed 140 points. But other than that, the defense has been productive all season. My prediction for Game 3, which is Wednesday night, is going to be, I think the Pacers are going to bounce back. I think Mr. Halliburton's going to get a little talking to from Coach Carlisle, and Carlisle's going to be like, dude, get your butt in gear. If you don't get your butt in gear, we're not winning another game. So you need to get your butt in gear, and I think he does, and I think the Pacers win Game 3 and go into Friday evening up 2-1. Hopefully to go up 3-1 or tied 2-2 going back to Oklahoma City. That's what I think happens, but we'll see. Can Halliburton step up? Can Pascal Siakam step up? Can the Thunder keep it going with the big three of J. Will, Chet Holmgren, and SGA, or Shea Butter, as Stephen A. calls him? And can the bench, Aaron Wiggins and Alex Caruso? Alex Caruso is normally going to fill the stat sheet with a lot of things like that you don't see in a stat sheet. But can he produce some points like he did in Game 2? Same thing with Aaron Wiggins. Do the Thunder stay small and start Casey Wallace still? Or Hartenstein? I go back to Hartenstein, personally. But I'm not an NBA coach. I don't make millions. So that's on the coaches there. We'll see what happens. But Game 3 of that is on Wednesday. Game 4 is on Friday. I'll probably do a recap, possibly Thursday. Maybe Friday after the game or Saturday morning. I don't know yet. We'll see how the week goes. I got quite a busy week at work and quite a busy week in baseball. But speaking of RCBL baseball, we're going to recap the Saturday evening ball game and then look towards the ball games later this week for all the RCBL teams, but especially yours truly, the Clover Hill Bucks. Clover Hill Bucks welcome in Bridgewater for the third time this season. The second time at Buck Bowman Park, the Clover Dome. The Bucks, they struggled. They had 3 hits, 1 error, and no runs. The Reds' final stat line was 3 runs on 7 hits and 2 errors. The Bucks had 3 base runners on early in the first 2 innings. They actually had 2 on in the first, couldn't do anything with it. And they had 1 on in the third, couldn't do anything with it, but then only had 2 more base runners the rest of the game. One of those was in the 9th inning after a leadoff double from Stavros. Pitching from the start was big for both squads. For the Reds, we'll start with them. Pat Burke went 2 innings with 3 Ks. Jared Peake came in, had 1 scoreless. Then we finally saw Huffman. He had a 5+ inning scoreless against the Montezuma Braves about a week ago. He had 4 innings with 4 Ks and allowed 2 hits. We barreled the ball. The Bucks barreled the ball well, but the right fielder for the Reds, Jordan Yankee, made about 2 to 3 spectacular catches. Great reads off the bat. Very good catches, and I thought at least 3 of the 4 were going to go down off the bat, but he made great plays. So shout out to Jordan Yankee for great defense. And then Brett Tharp came in after Huffman allowed a leadoff double in the top of the 9th. Brett Tharp switched places with him from short, the pitcher, and Huffman went to short, and he closed it with Fanning 3, and no one else got on base there. The hitting for the Reds, Caden Swartley was big, 2 for 4 with an RBI. The Bucks had the bases loaded in the Reds had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 8th, and the Bucks walked in a run off of the arm of Anthony Archie Elio. So it made it 3-0. The Bucks pitching was pretty solid. Jaden Isidro had 4 with 5 hits, 2 runs, and striking out 4. Reed Long came in the bottom of the 4th with the bases loaded and 1 out. The score is already 2-0. First pitch, 6-4-3 double play ends the inning, and then he went 3 innings with 1 hit, striking out 4. Clay Geyer went scoreless with a K. Anthony Archie-Elio went the 9th inning with 1 hit and 3 walks, and Fanning 3, striking out 3, or striking out 2. My apologies. So all the pitching was good. 3 walks from Archie-Elio. He'll get it going. He's a good pitcher. I have faith and trust in him. Good old lefty arm out of the bullpen. Very strong arm as well. Stavros was really the only positive for the Bucks on the hitting side of things. He went 2 of 3 with 2 doubles on the night for the Bucks. And as I said earlier, he was the runner on in the top of the 9th. Could we do anything with it? No, the Bucks did not do anything with it. Really couldn't get anything together. Later action this week for the Clover Hill Bucks. They were against Broadway. Wow, I'm the announcer and I should know that because I have to be there. We welcome Broadway. That is a makeup game from Friday that got rained out. We welcome Broadway in, and thanks to Farmers and Merchants Bank tonight for the sponsorship, and fans are in for free. Then Thursday, another fun one every year. Thursday, we welcome in Montezuma again for the 2nd time this season, and it is Dairy Night. So anyone that's been to Buck Bowman on Dairy Night, around the 5th inning, we have a cow milking contest versus 2 rookies, a rookie from the Braves and a rookie from the Bucks. Cow milking contest. Should be fun. It's always a fun time there. And then Saturday, the Bucks are at Montezuma at the Rueton Park. And then Sunday, we welcome Broadway back in on Sunday. So four big games this week for the Bucks, and 4 good ones, all free admission. So should be a fun one. There was no action on Sunday in the RCBL. We'll get to other action on Monday. Stewart's Draft. Typical Stewart's Draft score here over Montezuma, 13-11 in a hit battle. Anyone that knows Stewart's Draft, you got to out-hit them. They don't have the best of pitching, but they are going to hit. So you better hit with them to be able to beat them, and they've been like that for years. Other games this week in the RCBL. On Tuesday, you had the Montezuma Braves at the Elkton Blue Sox on Tuesday. Wednesday, you have the Diamondbacks at Broadway facing the Bruins, and that is Stewart's Draft Diamondbacks. And then you have Massanutten Mountaineers at Elkton to face the Blue Sox. No games on Thursday except for the Bucks game against Montezuma. And then on Friday, you got the Bruins at Ray Heatwell Field facing the Bridgewater Reds, and that's the Broadway Bruins. And then you have the Elkton Blue Sox at Stewart's Draft to play the Diamondbacks. Then Saturday, you obviously have the Bucks at Montezuma, but you also have Bridgewater at Stewart's Draft, and you have the Grottoes Cardinals at Broadway. And then Sunday, you have the Bucks welcoming Broadway, and then you have Montezuma at Bridgewater. So very busy week and weekend for RCBL baseball. Should be a fun one. I will do a full recap on probably Monday of all the RCBL games, kind of see where we stand right now. Broadway's undefeated 4-0, and then Massanutten, Bridgewater, and Clover Hill are in a tight race for 2nd place, all with 2 losses there. So should be a fun one. Let's see what the Bucks can do. Can the Reds keep it hot and win? They've won 4 in a row after losing the first 2. Let's see what happens. Should be a fun one this week in the RCBL. I am looking forward to it. In the major leagues, the power rankings were released on Monday. The Detroit Tigers are the number 1 power ranking team. The Chicago Cubs are number 2. The New York Mets and Mr. Juan Soto are number 3. The New York Yankees, even after they lost 2 out of 3 against the Boston Red Sox this past weekend, are 4, and then the Los Angeles injured Dodgers are number 5. So it should be a fun one. The Tigers beat the Cubs 2 out of 3 games this weekend. Brennan Hanafy had another great outing this weekend, bringing his ERA back down to 2.84. Should be a very interesting week in the Major League Baseball. Now to tennis. Mr. Carlos Alcaraz with a comeback of a lifetime. Coming into the game, 1v2. Something's got to give. Sinner hasn't lost a set all French Open. He hasn't beat Alcaraz either, though. He's 0-4 against him. Does he go 0-5? Does he get his first win? We will see. He wins the first 2 sets. Then Carlos gets him in the third, 6-4. We're in the 4th set. Alcaraz is down 5-3 with Sinner serving up 40 love. Anyone that knows tennis scoring goes 15, 30, 40, done. So he's on match point. Triple match point here. You look into the analytics. Alcaraz had a 0.001% chance at this point of winning. Does he win? Yes, he does. He comes back and wins that set 7-6, and then wins the 5th set also 7-6 in a tiebreak. But this tiebreak was 10-2. He smoked him in the 5th tiebreak. I think Sinner was just whipped. He hadn't played above 3 sets all tournament. Alcaraz is Mr. Athletic himself. Very high adrenaline, very physical, hits the ball very hard, very energetic as well. I think that's what set him over top. The longest match in French Open final history of 5 hours and 27 minutes. And Mr. Carlos Alcaraz, the 2 seed, defeats the 1 seed Jannik Sinner again. So he is 5-0 against Jannik Sinner. Something's got to give. He'll have about a month off of busy tournaments. He'll probably play in a few tune-ups. But the Wimbledon will start at the end of the month on the grass courts in London. Should be a fun one. American Coco Gauff takes down the number 1 seed, Aryna Sabalenka, again in another final. She wins her 2nd French Open as well. So congratulations to the American Coco Gauff. Wimbledon's up next. Who wins? Who do I have? My early pick. I think Mr. Joker, who's the new grass king, because Federer is retired. Federer's never going to let that up, but Joker's the new guy on grass. I think Novak Djokovic wins for the men, and I think Gauff wins back-to-back. I think she is on a high and continues that continues at the end of June. Should be a fun one. Grass courts, very fun. All white unis for all the players. Very fun scene to watch there. Now to men's college baseball. The College Baseball World Series has a new 8 teams this year. No teams have repeated from last year, so we will have a new champion. No repeat. We've got Coastal Carolina out of the Sun Belt Conference versus Arizona. Villanova versus Oregon State. Murray State versus UCLA. LSU versus Arkansas. Double elimination format starting on Thursday. Should be a fun one there. If I had to pick one, I think Arkansas is going to get it done. They have the better arms, but it's baseball. As Fred Hill used to tell me all the time, is you still got to play the game. No matter how good one team is and how bad the other team is, you still got to play it. So we'll see what happens. But my pick is Arkansas early, but we will see what happens. Should be a fun one. We've had another hockey game last night. It was tied 1-1. What happens? The Panthers won big after the double overtime in Game 2. Panthers won 6-1, take a 2-1 series lead. Can Connor McDavid get over that hump finally? We will see. He has another chance Game 4 on Thursday, so it should be a fun one. Can Connor McDavid finally win the Stanley Cup and cement his name as a top tier in the league? Now, yet alone all time, can Connor McDavid get it done? We shall see. Should be a fun one on Thursday for the hockey fans in the Stanley Cup Finals Game 4. Back to local stuff. We got some locals teams still in action in the state quarterfinals today. Broadway, after beating TA 4-0 on Thursday, will host Stanton River in a quarterfinal game today. TA travels to Abington, and anyone that's been to Abington is about 4 hours away, about 220 miles away, about as far out in Virginia as you can go. They play Abington today at 4 o'clock, and then boys soccer for TA will travel to Christiansburg to play, and I think that's at 6 or 6:30. Can't remember. So it should be a fun one. Broadway against Stanton River. Can they win? Can TA hang on and advance to the semifinals? It is quarterfinals today. We shall see. I will do a recap of that as well when I do my next video, probably on Thursday evening after the baseball game or Friday. It really depends on what happens there. But now to your positive thought of the day. You have to be odd to be number one. I was listening to a podcast last night. You have to be odd to be number one. Can't be normal. Can't go with status quo. Can't go with the others. You have to be odd to be number one. And what that means is 99% of people are okay with being average. 99% of people are okay with being where they're at. But to be more and to achieve more, or to be odd in some people's books, you have to be odd to be number one. Be in the 1 percentile. Be different. Set your goals. Think of ways you're going to achieve them. Go out and do it. Make it happen. But also another thing on top of that is one thing a lot of people don't look at here. You got to be positive. You got to tell yourself, think positive. Positive thoughts. Positive actions. Positive outcome. Negative thoughts. Negative action. Negative outcome. You think negatively. You think, oh, there's no way I'm going to do this. Guess what? You're right. There's no way you're going to do it. Negative thoughts, negative action, negative outcome. So think positive, because all negative is going to do is bring you down, put you in a bad mood. That's all it's going to do. So think positive. Go make it happen. Go be that 1%. Go achieve. Never quit no matter how hard it gets. Never give up, because as always, quitters never win and winners never quit. So go win. Go be you. Go achieve things you want to achieve. So a busy week in sports. Bucks are back in action tonight at the Clover Dome, Buck Bowman Park at 7:45 against Broadway Bruins, who come in undefeated 4-0. Should be a fun one. Game 3 of the NBA Finals will be on Wednesday, tomorrow evening on ABC. And then, again, recap of the local stuff. Broadway will host Stanton River. TA travels to Abington in softball. And then in boys soccer, TA travels to Christiansburg all-state quarterfinals for a Final Four matchup in the state semifinals. Should be all great games there. I will do another podcast on possibly Thursday evening or Friday sometime to recap RCBL early action for the week. Look forward towards the weekend. Recap game 3. Should be a fun one. But remember, lots of busy stuff this weekend. But think positive, be loving, be caring. Go be that 1%. Go achieve things you want to achieve. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the KBR Show. This is yours truly, King Buddy Ray. Be positive, be loving, love one another, think positive, and as always, go Bucks.